All right, guys, ready? Q&A time. Ask some questions, and I'll try to answer them. Cool.
I have a question.
Cool. Oh, all right.
So my question is, how can I practice shape design?
All right. So let me ask you. What the hell? Okay, sorry. I thought I was pressing caps, but I was not. So let me ask you a question. How do you think you can practice shape design?
I guess I'll just draw a bunch of shapes and try to come up with something interesting. But I have never done it before because I never paid attention to that. Just recently I opened my eyes to it when you said to someone about the thumbnails.
Yeah. So you said just draw a bunch of shapes? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
I have no idea because I don't know. Before I have gotten this advice to try workaround shapes, but then I just came up with some cartoony characters that I wasn't really fond of, and I really have no idea.
What do you think you could do? So draw a bunch of random shapes. What else?
I could look up some cool designs and try copy them and maybe think how those people came up with them. But I don't know, I feel like most of these things could be just random.
Okay, what else do you think you could do?
Nature, like inspire from nature.
Okay, what else do you think you could do?
I could maybe take pictures of clouds or something and try and draw on top of them. I don't know.
Okay, what else do you think you could do? All right, I'll let you not be punished anymore. It seems to me, Carolina, that you already know what you need to do.
Yeah, just I would like to get some like something. I don't know. I mean, maybe I know what I need to do, but I feel like
So
I have
here's the problem. Have you done any of these things?
tried, but every time I failed, and I was like, oh, okay, never mind. But
So let's play this out. So you tried a little bit, it didn't work out, and you gave up, correct?
yeah, that's pathetic. But yeah.
Well, no, think about that. So let's say you wanted to, I don't know, get really good at running a mile. But as soon as you ran a quarter mile, you got tired and you stopped, and then you never trained again. How are you ever going to get good at running if you stop when you're not good at it? That's the whole point, Carolina. You know, you're not good at it. That's why you should keep doing it. You understand? That
Yeah.
what my answer to you would have been no different than your answers you just gave to me. The only difference is I do the things that I've stuck at. You don't.
Yeah.
Do you see that that's the real difference? There's no difference between you and I other than I have much more resilience than you. Because I know one simple truth. I don't deserve to be good at anything if I don't put practice into it. So every time you try to do shapes and it's not good, that's evidence that you don't know enough. It's not personal. So stop taking it personal. You're not talented. You're unskilled. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's a different way of thinking about it, because if you think you have no talent, that feels like that's like an internal conflict, right? But if you think that you have no skill, that's different. You can get skill, right? You can acquire skill. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, drawing random shapes is a good tactic. Yes, taking pictures and tracing over them. That's a great tactic. Yes, looking at how other people could do it. Absolutely. These are all things I've done too. So the problem
That's good
is,
to hear.
yeah, the problem is that you're looking for like a golden answer, right? And
Yeah.
unfortunately, there is no golden answer. There is this really great phrase that I got from a book that I read a while ago, where people always see the situation as an egg hatching, that egg hatching moment where there's an egg and then it hatches and then now there's a chicken, right?
Mhm.
But the reality is the egg had to be formed at a microscopic level and then grow and grow and grow until eventually it's hatched, or not hatched, until it's laid. And then the hen lays on this, and so the embryo inside starts out as just yolk, and then that yolk starts to turn into a bird, right? It starts growing a wing, starts growing a heart, lungs, eyes, feathers, right?
Mhm.
And then it hatches, and then it grows into a bird, slowly, a chicken, slowly but surely. But the point is, at no point during this whole process was there a aha moment. Every point was just as valuable as the one before it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah, yeah.
the contrast of an egg hatching to a chicken seems so extreme, right? There was no life,
Yeah,
now
it
there's
is.
life. But the reality is, no, there was no life for quite a while, and life was forming for quite a while, and the hatching of the egg is just another step in the whole process. It's not the biggest step either. It's just one of the many steps, you know? Because any point of that the whole time the chicken could have died, right?
Mhm.
And so the same thing is true about, let's say you're getting good at shapes. I can't be like, oh, let me tell you, just do this. Go into the wilderness, and then when you go into the wilderness, you'll find a witch. Now, you have to promise the witch a dark secret of yours, and give her this dark secret that she can hold and cherish and use against you in the future. And then you will have the powers of really good shape design. No, it's try everything. Try every little thing. The problem is that you're not cool with sucking. That's what you need to fix. And
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
yeah, that's actually the thing that you should focus on. It's not so much how to get better at shape design. Um, it's more about like just don't be so down on yourself for being bad at things you hardly practice. Remember I was talking earlier about like weightlifting and all that good stuff, right? Same idea. Like we wouldn't be able to go to the gym and for me to ask you to lift hundreds and hundreds of kilos, right? If you've never trained, right? And
Yeah,
so
that's
it's very clear. And the reason why I asked you what you can do next, because I find most students actually do know what they need to do. The problem is they just don't keep with it. It's not a matter of what to do. It's a matter of just doing it. In most cases, you know,
hmm
because being bad at stuff is just temporary. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you'll accelerate. Because when you suck, you'll just be like, that's fine. This is part of the deal, right? Watch,
okay.
even my daughter knows that. Come over here, Delilah. When you're not good at something, what do you do?
Keep trying.
Yes, good girl. Get out of here now. Right? Like Delilah, you weren't good at bike riding. What did you do? You just kept practicing, right? Now you ride a bike like a pro. You have a lot of balance, absolutely. Yep, no bike with no training wheels, or no training wheels on your bike. You're right. All right, get out of here. Get out of here. And so you see kind of what I'm trying to get at, though, right?
Yeah, that's really accurate. I just have to realize. I mean, I realize that's like I don't know. I really don't like my stuff most of the time, uh, and that's really in the way.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
just have to
totally.
get over it.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to get over it. Just understand that that's what's happening, and then manage it. Like snap yourself out of it, saying, okay, I know my work isn't good, but that's only a product of lack of practice. So as long as I keep practicing, in a year's time, I should be better and better. You know, that is something you can absolutely trust. And I could prove it to you that it already works with yourself. I can prove it to you. Think about your work that you did years ago. Let's give it 5 years. 5 years ago, think about the work you did then
I
to the work that you
Yeah,
do now. Do you think that you were better then or are you better now?
yeah. I mean, I didn't really draw 5 years ago, so I suppose
Oh.
I'm better.
Okay, so let's even go back like 2 or 3 years ago then, right?
Yeah,
Do you hear what I'm getting at, right? Like even with your own work, we can find evidence that just with some time and effort, you've improved. Okay? Like we
yeah,
don't need to,
absolutely.
yeah, we don't need to just live in the like a speculative setting or hypothetical setting. Like no, you guys can just look at yourselves and look at your own work. Like look at the work that you did when you were a toddler to the work that you did now. There is improvement, you know? And the only reason why you may have not improved as much as you would like is just you didn't put as much time or effort. That's it. It's really that simple, right? And what I find myself doing a lot of times as an instructor is not so much teaching you guys how to paint, but trying to teach you guys how to keep painting. Okay? And so
Yeah,
now that I've given you that kind of insight, that's me teaching you how to fish, right? There's a great a thing where you give a person a fish, you feed him for a day, teach a person how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime, right? I'm sure you've heard of the saying. If not, that's the saying. Um, and so that was me teaching you how to fish. So let me give you the fish that will feed you for today. Um, yeah, pick one of those strategies. One of my favorite strategies that I did was, yeah, do what you did, like just trace shapes. Like, like what I would do is I would guess what I think the shape would be, you know, and
hmm
then I would trace it and then compare the actual shape versus the shape that I thought it was. So I could start spotting good shapes because then I would realize, oh, my shape was off and not good for these reasons. You can be a little bit more objective. See, tracing, color picking, copying, these are all good tools to learn, right? They're obviously not good tools to promote your own work because it's plagiarizing, okay? But if you're just
yeah,
trying to learn and just for yourself, no one's going to be pissed that you trace their artwork. Just you're just trying to understand what they're doing. That's what scientists do, right? Scientists like observe the natural world and they will try to replicate things to understand it, you know? That's what I do all the time. I just replicate to understand. And there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah. That sounds really good.
Yeah. So that's a good way of doing it. Um, you know, there is a really cool marketing guy named Gary V. What I love about Gary is that he has a lot of similar philosophy as I do, right? But he's just a little bit more hardlined. He's a lot more like aggressive, which I disagree with. I disagree with the hardlined. He's not wrong in a lot of cases, but there's just not enough evidence supporting his aggressive nature to being a really useful tactic. That only works for people like me, people who can stomach it, right? And but the majority of people, and I've learned this myself as a teacher, the majority of people just don't respond well to that, right? They just don't. And uh, I found that if I really want to be a great educator, wouldn't it be a testament to my educational skill set to teach someone who was uninspired to then become inspired versus teaching someone who's already inspired to stay inspired? it's harder to do the first one, right? And so I learned the hard way because I would be really aggressive to some of my students, and some of my students dropped out of my classes. Some students even cried, and I wasn't that bad. Like I had one of my co-teachers, Cecil Kim. He was real bad. Like he would like cuss people out and stuff. I was never like that. I was just be really like if you didn't do good work, I'll literally tell you that your work was garbage, and like you don't have a chance type of stuff. But not in that. I'm paraphrasing and I'm uh, making it a little more aggressive than it actually was. But I learned that that's not really effective. What's effective is revealing people's weaknesses to themselves and then empathizing with those weaknesses and learning how to overcome them, right? Versus just suck it up, industry's hard. Like those are obvious, right? And so Gary Vee, he has a lot of the same principles, right? In terms of like you, if you want to do something, just do it, right? It's not complicated. And one thing that I loved about what he did once was that he was at a convention and these guys came up to him and they're like, how do we market our company better? He's like, we've tried video marketing. And he's like, yep. And he's like, we've tried like blog marketing. He's like, yep, sounds good. And he's like, we tried this and that. And he's like, yeah, what else have you guys tried? And he's like, well, we tried this and all that. And he's like, yep, okay. So what's the problem? And they're just like, well, what else can we do? He's like, no, you guys are doing it. Problem is maybe you just stop doing it or you're just not believing that it's going to work. You know? He's like, what do you think I did?
Yeah.
That's all I did. He's like, I didn't do anything special. I just did everything that you guys did. The only difference, and it's the same thing that I just told you, the only difference is I kept doing it. You know? And he's right. That's very true. I've met too many people for that not to be true. Okay? Just got to keep doing it. Because here's a way of thinking about it. Here's a good way of thinking about it. Imagine that you're making a list of stuff that you're doing. Okay, so the first thing you do is a positive outcome. Like you learned how to do a shape better and you felt good, like you felt like you learned, right? And you have another positive outcome, but then you have another thing, but this negative outcome. Okay? And then you do another thing, and it's another negative outcome, like you just don't feel like you learned anything, right? And etc. You have positive, negative, right? So on and so forth. Okay?
Yeah.
So the way that you're seeing this is that you've only learned 3 things out of the 6 attempts, and it's discouraging to you. And what I'm trying to say is, no, you learned 6 things. You learned not only what to do, you learned what not to do.
Huh, that's nice.
Do you see the point? Like, it's not, it's additive when you learn something negative. You learn now not to do that. When I lost my job, and I was complacent at my previous job, my very first job I ever had, I learned not to be complacent anymore. I failed epically, and that epic failure taught me a valuable lesson about personal work and its value. You understand?
Yeah, without mistakes we can't learn. So
We are a product of our mistakes. The reason why you know how to walk so good, I'm assuming you know how to walk so good, is because you fell and
yeah,
tripped a lot when you were a toddler. How do I know this? Because, I have toddlers. I've seen many toddlers. They fucking fall and trip all the time. Okay? Like I let my kids fall. You know? My daughter fell on her bike really bad once because she was trying to turn the corner, and she didn't understand like kinetic energy and momentum, right? She didn't understand that, but now she does. Okay, she understands that if you go in a turn full speed and you try to do a complete 180, there's too much torque and you're gonna fly off your bike. You know, my little 3-year-old, when he was I think 2 or like 1.5, he was running around the house like a little baby as he should, and I saw him running full speed towards the the hardwood floor. He was going from the carpet to the hardwood floor in our apartment, right? And I knew that he was going to fall because he was wearing like socks, slippery socks, and he had no understanding of friction and the lack thereof, like different materials, you know?
Yeah, I
And he
can
ran,
imagine the result.
yeah, and he ran and he tripped and fell really hard, hurt himself. You know, I let my kids fall because they'll learn not to fall later, you know? And obviously I don't make them fall like flights of stairs or anything that could potentially murder them or
Maybe
destroy
they could
their
learn to fly or something. I don't know.
stability. but you know, like people learn from their mistakes, you know, and
Yeah.
so being afraid of them is kind of naive, is what I'm trying to get at, right? It's short-sighted to be afraid of sucking, because of course you're going to suck, you know?
Yeah. By the way, right now, are you like experimenting with things, or are you? It's just like your normal process
Oh,
because it looks
yeah.
super. Like the colors are very abstract, and I know. Are you just going to mask it somehow later, or?
Oh yeah, I just try different processes usually in my demos. Uh-oh. Did you not put his diaper on good? Guess not, Mama. Peed all over his little boat. Um, no, I've done this a few times before. I like to mix it up so I stay engaged with my own paintings. And I like to do crazy colors these days because I'm trying to get crazier with my colors. And the way that I'm probably going to approach this is probably like what you're saying, mask it off somehow. I'm going to turn this off. And then I'm going to make a solid color layer. And then I'm going to make this, it's Mama's fault. It is Mama's fault. Mm-hmm. Um, but yeah, I just try all kinds of different ways of painting all the time, just because it's fun. So, and it's good to experiment because then you can learn something new about what you can do differently in different paintings. All right, there you go. All right, any other questions? Oh, before actually, was that helpful? Did it help you out?
Oh yeah, it was actually because taking this course, I thought you're gonna like teach us some amazing techniques and stuff, and then after you said that it's more about like the thing with the fish,
Uh-huh.
the techniques would be like a fish, but then if you give us the rod or something and teach us how to fish, that's the other thing.
Yeah,
So I kind of realized that I also stay more motivated and energized. Of course, this new
yeah,
thing, so of course, but
yeah, it's good.
I want to keep at it and I want to take all your advices.
That's good.
And so far I'm really happy, and all those things you said is really important.
Okay, great.
So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear here. Um, I'll give you guys techniques too. I just gave you one, right? And I've
Yeah,
given you guys many already. But like, I find that that's very shallow. It's not like if you want just more and more of my techniques, you can just either get more Gumroad videos, right, which are very cheap, or you can just go to YouTube and find other people's videos. They're free. There's many.
yeah, yeah,
There's a lot of great resources on just how to do stuff, right? There's too much, in fact, right? But like, but what I find is what's missing is to teach people um, how to kind of continue their growth, right? I don't see a lot of that. And that's what my mentorship is mostly driven by, is to teach people how to do that more than anything else, right? And because consider this, like, who is my mentor? Like, who was the person that taught me everything that I know? And the answer to that is I didn't really have a single person. Just like the egg analogy, right? It was just a matter, it was just a product of going to workshops, talking to people, meeting amazing artists, watching many videos, learning from all sorts of people all the time, having access
yeah.
tons of information and just using that information. And then practicing teaching other people has made me better at what I do too, because I learn more about what I even do. Like I'm like coding, and I had my friend, I'm telling him to get into it too, because he's a really smart guy too, and I want him to be involved because I can try to teach him, but he can also teach me. Like he can come back and explain to me maybe there's a better way. And also what he's really what he's doing for me is that I'm trying to teach him because he's interested. It's making me learn what I know, and that's what I really want to value. That's what I really value. And so teaching him how to do it is really powerful because now I'm able to kind of start to do stuff more and more. I'm starting to really understand the tools that I use. One of the best tactics to learning something is to try to teach it to somebody else. Okay? And
Yeah.
if you can explain it to someone else, then you have a really good grasp of it. Especially if you have a good understanding of it and then you teach it to somebody else and then they actually do it and yield results. That's really good. And so that's kind of where I stand. So I'm glad to hear that you uh, understand and respect that there's more value in just learning how to paint better. It's about how to get over the fact that days you don't want to paint, right? Or you feel crappy about your paintings.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
there's a great quote by Usain Bolt that I like, where he says, the race is easy, it's the training that's hard.
Yeah.
And what he means by that is that, like, when it comes down to just running the race, like, he could do it. It's no problem. He's so fast. If he just runs it, it's 10 seconds, he's done, you know? But he says, like, the
Yeah.
training, that's what's really hard. It's really hard. And nobody does the training as much as they should. I remember I did a stream once and someone was like, hey, aside from practice, what can I do to improve my artwork? And I said, practice. That is the thing to do. And
Maybe he could like pray to the old gods or something,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
go to the witch.
No, I understood what he was trying to say. Like he wanted more. Like he wanted something more that he could do. And I was trying to explain to him, you have to understand, the fastest way to get better is practice. That is the fastest way, you know?
Yeah.
There are obviously there's nuances, there's like subtleties, but these nuances are similar to something like using Usain Bolt again, like like asking what shoes he wears. It's irrelevant, to his actual training regimen. And so hopefully that helps.
Yeah, it helps.
All right, cool. Any other questions? Let's go. It's go time.
Yeah, I actually do have a question.
Yeah, go for
Um,
it.
so currently I kind of started doing freelance,
Cool.
and I've been looking at places, like freelancer.com, Upwork, uh, you know, um, ArtStation, conceptart.org, things like that. But a lot of the time, a lot of the jobs, the pay usually isn't great, or there's a lot of competition
Uh-huh.
um, to get those jobs, which Uh, I mean, I don't. I think that you should value yourself as an artist to some extent to like not take the low-paying jobs.
Uh-huh.
But how do you find the higher-end jobs from like companies to kind of have the stability?
There's really only two things you should worry about that are in your control.
Hmm.
The first thing is be good, right? The way you get those high-paying jobs is being the best in the industry at whatever you're doing, or at least amongst the best. Okay,
Yeah.
that's how you do it. That's like one of the easiest ways. Like I say, it's the easiest because all you got to do is just keep painting and practicing, which is not very difficult concept to understand. It's just difficult to execute, right? It's difficult to stay with it because people get
Yeah.
discouraged very easily. That's why I encourage people to stay resilient, because that's the difference between you and them, right? Um, and then the second thing is make friends. Connect yourself to people more and more often. Like go to events, talk to people. Right now there's an event that I go to every year, but I didn't go this year because I knew my baby was going to be coming out pretty soon, which I'm glad I didn't, because my baby would have been born and I would have been in Spain. And then my baby is already like a week and a few days old. And I would have been in Croatia this whole time, so it would have sucked, right? And
Yeah.
but I go usually every year, and I make new friends, I make new connections, and check it out. Like I go to this event, I do a talk, I meet artists. I'm the person that you see now. I'm the same person, but even more friendlier when I actually see your face, right? And I'm
Yeah.
even more empathetic to your guys' growth, right? When I meet people in person, because it's just it's just obviously different.
Yeah.
And I sell classes like almost that same instant, because when people meet me and talk to me and hear my lectures or my workshops, I sell classes and I sell tutorials. Why?
Yeah.
Because there's quality to what I'm saying, and people, when they hear me talk, they know I'm right. And when they hear that I'm right, they're like, I want to hear more right stuff because that's going to help me, you know? And then that's when people start buying my tutorials. I'm not always right. And I only teach things I know, right? Things that I know to be true or mostly true. And because I do that, that's such a good drawing, right? Is that his chi-chis? You draw her chi-chis? Oh, those are shells? My daughter drew a little mermaid right now.
Aw.
And so you hear what I'm saying? And um, so I'm making games now, right?
Mhm.
So the first step is to just make games. Like, can I make a game? And I have. I've started making stuff, and they're all right. Now the next step is to make good games. Okay, games that people actually would like to play and would think are good. Okay.
Yeah.
And as I'm making good games, I will do the other thing, which I've told you just now, is I'm going to start going to events. So there's an event called Indiecade in LA. I'm going to go to Indiecade, and I'm going to try to bring a portfolio of games. And I'm going to show it to people, and they're going to tell me why they're bad or why they're good, and I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to go again next year. And I'm going to keep going until I become a powerhouse in the game industry. And it won't be the first place. I'll go to GDC. I'll try to go to E3. I'll try to go to PAX, which is the indie game dev paradise, right? Because I'll put a face to my product, and then eventually I'll get paid the big bucks, right? But see, my ambitions isn't to get paid the big bucks. My ambition is just to make games. But I know as a product of getting better, it's just going to take time. And if I also invest my time making friends in the industry, right,
Yeah.
then things will work out even faster. In fact, some of the first jobs I ever got was not because of my skill, it's because of my charisma, because of who I was. I met so many friends, I made so many people, and I'm just a friendly dude. And because of that, people want to work with friendly people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they like, hey, I know a guy, he's pretty good. I was not that good, but I was pretty good. And I got jobs. And then like I said, as a product of just keep painting and drawing, just the product of working at my craft continuously and constantly, right? I got really
Yeah.
good at it. That is like inevitable, you know? That's why I put less effort on trying to get good at artwork when you're trying to get jobs and more effort on just making friends and connecting with people. Okay?
Okay, that's
Because
good to know.
yeah, because you're gonna just get better. If you just keep drawing every day for like 5 to 10 years, you're gonna get really good. It's like it's gonna be weird if you don't. Okay? But what will not happen is if you don't post your artwork online, you don't share it with anybody, you keep it like hidden in like some sort of the dark internet, the dark web. Only like the most ruthless and evil people can see your work because you're super secretive with your artwork. It's in the dark, dark web.
Yeah.
Then of course someone's gonna find you out, right? And you have to understand that just because these big studios aren't hiring people like you or aren't hiring at all, doesn't mean that there's small studios that aren't willing to pay your wage, right? And not only
Yeah.
that, these small studios might not even you might not even know who they are, right? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, so it's also your job to find these studios that are like hidden away. Like, for instance, did you know that the Indonesia market of games reached like $700 million in sales in 1 year, I believe it was, just the mobile game market alone? It's almost a
Wow,
billion.
that's crazy.
It's $1 billion.
Yeah.
Do you know any game studio that is in Indonesia?
No.
So then how are they making all that money if there's no game studio apparently, right? Of course there's
Yeah.
game studios, right? And so
Yeah.
that's the point. Like it's also your responsibility to find out who these people are just as much as it's their responsibility to find artists like you. And if you make their job easier by going to them, works out, right?
Yeah.
And so I highly encourage people to travel and to talk and to do events, because it's a great way to face to face. And I highly encourage it for that reason. Let me give you an example. So I'm getting into game dev, right?
Mhm.
So I've been watching a lot of videos by this guy named Chris DeLeon. He's really good. To me, he's very similar to like how I teach my philosophy. He has a way better website and a platform for education, but that's because he's a coder. So I blame that. He can customize it. But here's the thing, I'm learning coding, so I'm already planning on customizing my website, redesigning it entirely to be gamified for art. Okay? But that's going to take a while. First, I was get good at making games, and once I've made good games, then I can kind of go back and then make a educational platform that is super intuitive and helpful to teach people how to be creative, right?
Yeah.
One step at a time. But anyways, I watch his videos. I'm impressed by his teaching. So I find him on Facebook. I friend him on Facebook. After we're friends on Facebook, I message him on Facebook and says, we need to sync up because you're dope and you have a school of programmers. I have a school of artists. There must be some sort of parallel here. You know,
Yeah.
I signed up for a Patreon of another coder that I like, Daniel Schiffman. He's streaming probably right now. I'm missing the stream. Um, and I'm talking to him on his Slack. I'm befriending him just like you guys are befriending me, you know? But I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to keep reaching out. I'm going to keep going to these workshops. I'm going to keep talking to people that are in this industry that I know very little about outside of the art side. Like I know the game industry really well when it comes to uh, development. I really do. But I don't know enough of the indie development crew, and I think that's where I would live, right? And
Yeah.
so, and I talked to him, reached out to him, and now he has slotted me to do an interview for his class next Sunday, right? And for me, it's a step in the right direction. I'm going to befriend this guy, Chris. I already think we're starting to grow this friendship because it's just organic and natural, you know.
Yeah.
But I have no malicious intent, meaning that if he has nothing to offer me, it doesn't mean that I'll stop being his bud, you know?
Yeah, of course.
I'm doing it specifically because I'm trying to build my sense of community, you know, regardless of what I get out of it. Because in my experience, if you're just patient, things just work out in general. You understand? It just works out. Like people will just start to come to you, not because you have just good products, but because of who you are, and you are very clearly not guided by malicious intent. You know,
Yeah.
and that's how I go about things. I make friends with not just these excellent instructors and teachers. I make friends with the students too, the people that are also um, engaged, right? Because I always tell you guys this, and the reality is people like students stay temporarily bad. It's temporary. Eventually, they themselves might be epic, right? So it's always a good strat to be kind to everybody and anybody. So my advice in terms of like how to find out like the opportunities is really, it's hard. You can't control, like even if you're qualified for a job and you have all the right tools for them to want to hire you, but they're just not hiring, you know, that's something that's
Yeah.
out of your control. So the way to increase your odds is just to let them know that you're a big fan and you're available, and you just keep reaching out, and you just keep opening doors or leaving breadcrumbs to your portfolio, whether it's through the internet or through real people, right? And
Yeah.
then yeah, more and more people will follow you and find you and offer you jobs that and are willing to pay you the rate that you believe you deserve. If you can
And
afford not to work, then just keep working on your portfolio and meeting people. That's a really good investment.
yeah, I was actually going to ask about that as well. Like in the meantime, as you're like networking and you're practicing, is it better to like, let's say like if you get jobs, right? But
Uh,
they're not as much pay as you hope, but at least it's something related to the field. Is it worth taking those smaller jobs
yeah, of course. Yeah,
as you're practicing and stuff?
as long as you have your eye on the prize, right? Like, don't ever get in a position where you feel like all your time is gone. Right? Just be smart about it and understand that you are being paid. And what I tell people is think of your hourly rate, like whatever your hourly rate, what you want it to be. Let's say it's $30 an hour,
Yeah.
and they're asking you to do something for um, $300. So then you say to yourself, I cannot go past 10 hours of work on this. And if I do, I have to pay attention because every hour after that is cutting into my actual rate that I believe I deserve.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
in that scope, you can totally take these smaller jobs without losing time. A good way of thinking about this, right? Consider this, is that if you work, let's say, 30 or 40 hours on this, you'll be starting to make as much money as if you worked at like a fast food restaurant. And the irony is that you can work at a fast food restaurant now. You don't need to have a portfolio.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't ever put yourself in that situation, and always consider um, all the steps that it would take. For instance, consider the iteration stage, the finalization, the thumbnailing, all of those steps.
Yeah.
When you're taking on work, like everything. Don't just look at um, like just completing it's going to take you 10 hours. Like no, I have to also include the iterations, thumbnailing, feedback. Like they're going to absolutely give you feedback, and you have to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you were to say, okay, I'm going to spend only an hour on thumbnails, submit it, and then spend, or maybe 2 or 3 hours on thumbnails, submit it, and then I'm going to spend another 2 or 3 hours on revisions, and then you have to make it very clear to them that they're running out of time, and then I have to um, finish the work in the next 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
That's a good way of going about it. Um, but if you're working on something that they're not paying you much, but it's at least related to what you're um, working towards, that's not a big deal. If they're not paying you a lot and you're going to spend way more time on it than you would like, then try to work out a deal where you say you can share your work. Like once you're done, like it's not secretive. You can put it on your ArtStation like right away.
Okay.
Because that way at least you have a portfolio piece. You know?
Yeah.
Like you paid a little bit of money and you have a portfolio piece. And we have these guys that work with us right now, like the Burning Games guys, and they totally are cool with that. They pay people like, you know, a very, very small wage because they're, you know, they're a small studio. They don't have a lot of money, but they completely understand that the value of art that they're getting is really high. So they always tell people that you can totally share your work and post it. You can do tutorials. As far as they're concerned, it's your artwork. They're just licensing it for that much money.
Okay.
You know, they give you art direction, all that stuff, but they generally understand that they're getting a lot of value, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's why I love them, because they totally get it. Like, they don't take advantage. They know they don't have a lot of money, but they say, look, it's your work. We just want to use it for our game, right? The power is
Yeah.
in the hands of the artists. And that's why I like working with those guys. But anyway, hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah, that helped a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Any other questions?
Just a follow-up on you talking about going to conventions. Do you have any experience on the Trojan Horse unicorn one?
I've never been there, but I know Andre personally, the guy who runs it, and he's a super nice guy. And everyone that I've talked to who's gone says it's like artist heaven. And so I've never been. I've been to IFCC, which I consider being like a really awesome artist vacation. You know, like you get to meet with all
Mm-hmm.
these artists from the industry, and it's a lot of fun. But what I really love about it is that like what I really, really love is that people, you know, just get to meet people and hang out with them outside of the context of just the artist realm, you know? And it's nice. And I think Trojan Horse was what inspired that event. You hear what I'm saying? So that means like Trojan Horse is the OG, the original version of this. And it's like the better version too, because it's like super organized and has like a lot of perks. Um, but that means that it's must be extraordinary because IFCC is amazing. You understand? Like IFCC has its flaws, but even with their flaws, it's freaking amazing. Like I love it. I love IFCC, and I didn't get to go this year, but next year I'll go. Oh, my baby! I'm done making babies, and my babies will be much older, and I can travel again. And so Trojan Horse, I would highly recommend. It's very expensive, but from what I hear, it's worth every penny. Any other questions?
Yes, I have one. I just wanted to know if, like, when you're building a portfolio,
Okay.
um, when can someone tell that? Uh, is there a way to know or to test if your portfolio is like good enough in order
Uh-huh.
to start finding like jobs, even smaller jobs? Just like a way to know, or I don't know. It's just if I consider myself, if I just tell myself, is this good enough? It will never be because I just want to make good art, and it's never good enough for me. So I can't really judge it by myself. So maybe you have a way
Oh yeah,
to.
there's a really easy way. Um, Go to ArtStation, find artists that work, and then compare your work to their work. That's
Yeah.
simple. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because if you just look at your own work, you can be like, yeah, you know, I can be better. But if you want to really have some constructive criticism of your work, just compare it to those who are already working, and it should be obvious, right? For instance, uh, when I was going to an event and I was applying for this job for Insomniac Games, um, they said they liked my work and that they would have hired me, but they just hired an artist. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. And they're like, you might have heard the artist. Like his name is Carlo Arolino.
Yeah, I
And
know him.
yeah, and Carlo was one of my teachers. Right, I
Hmm.
went to one of his workshops, and I was just like, oh yeah, he's way better than me. You guys made the right choice. But what happened was that I discovered, wait a minute, like all of my teachers are my competition, just as like all of my fellow students or classmates. Meaning, you should take a look and say, wait a minute, AJ, my mentor right now, Anthony Jones, is also my competition. Like he can apply for these jobs too. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that realization made me wake the hell up that like, yeah, you can take like really small, like I will tell you guys right now, you guys are all capable of work, right? There are some companies that will be willing to pay you very low wages, just like, excuse me, just like we were just talking about like a moment ago, right? Um, but the real question is not so much about taking on just like the small jobs. The question is just about finding a career path that is like more like a vocation where you feel substance, you feel fulfillment at the end of the day, right?
Hmm.
Because getting money will, I promise you, will not fulfill you. It just won't. Okay. Um, it will never fill the void that you might think it will, no matter how much money you make. Trust me, there is a difference between being really, really poor, right, versus having some money to be able to afford basic expenses. There's a clear difference there. But from what I saw, the research also supports this, is that people who make around $60,000 to $70,000 US dollars a year, right, on average, are no happier or sadder than people who make millions of dollars a year or even billions of dollars. Okay? That means like the cap of happiness that money could probably bring you is around $60,000 to $70,000 a year, which is actually very modest. Okay, like you can live a very happy and very fulfilling life with that base pay. But yet people still don't feel fulfilled even when they make that base pay. Okay, I mean look at the president of the United States, right?
Mhm.
He is the president of the United States, and he still is a crybaby, whiny, entitled son of a bitch of a man. Okay, like he has no concept of consequence. He has no concept of failure because his whole life has been just a spoiled brat. Like he's had a golden spoon his whole life. He has no understanding that you actually have to be good at stuff to deserve respect, you know? And it's a demonstration. Like he's super narcissistic, he's super petty, and he has apparently a lot of wealth, and he's the leader of the free world, right? And he still complains. And it's like it never ends. That's my point. It's like you can be the president of a country and still be sorely disappointed with your life. Okay, and so I've learned that there's like a plethora of actors and pop stars who were dying from overdosing on antidepressants, like Robin Williams, right? And that was a shock to me. It's like Robin Williams, you know,
Hmm.
like what was he upset about, right? But that's my point. And then like seeing, Dave Chappelle, same thing, right? Like he left for a while and then he came back. And I'm starting to say, okay, there's something there, right? And so as I started becoming more accomplished, I started to discover similar symptoms of like I wasn't happier, you know? In fact, I was getting more unhappy because I had a lot more responsibilities that I didn't really care about. I didn't really want to care about, you know? I just wanted to make stuff. And that started slowly dissipating. And I realized that I felt more happy in my career as a concept artist, like trying to become one, like a student, than I did actually be an accomplished artist in industry. And so I try to get back to that, and that's where I'm at now, you know? And so going back to your question, though, to really kind of just answer this, is there is very clear guides on how to test your portfolio. And when you do this test, which kind of led me to the tangent I went on to, make sure you compare it to something that you want to do. Don't compare it to
Yeah.
just the lowest common denominator, meaning don't just go for the easiest, the lowest hanging fruit, you know, because you'll
Yeah.
get it. You'll get it, and you're going to be sorely disappointed. And if you aim for the highest fruit, you will also be disappointed, but at least that's where you wanted to go in the first place. Okay? You're going to get there, you're going to be happy you got there, you're going to feel accomplished, but you're going to realize that it's just another mean to an end. It's not the salvation to your happiness, okay? And I learned that, the hard way. So just take my insight on this. One piece of advice I usually try to tell people is try to be happy today, because tomorrow you can get hit by a bus. So stop trying to look for your happiness into the future, because your future will most certainly change, right? And it could be for better or for worse. Like, remember I was talking about, like, if I went back in time and talked to, like, this 13-year-old version of myself, like, he would be completely confused on where I'm at today. He's like, how is that possible? You're not even an artist. He's like, I know, right? That's the point, bro. You can do whatever you want, man. And he was like, all right, I guess, weirdo, strange me. He's like, wait, why are you bald? How old are you? You 40? I'm like, no, dude. You're going to start going bald in your early 20s, man. Get ready for that. What? Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're super confident. It won't bother you too much. You'll get over it. There'll be days you'll feel a little sad, but then you realize, who cares? And it's like, and plus, you'll meet a gnarly, epic woman who's totally past that superficial stuff, and she's super hot. And I'll show a picture of my wife. Oh, what? And you were bald when this happened? Yeah, see? So it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. But you would be an artist. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, stop changing the subject, young AJ. And so I always try to tell people, stay focused on what you want to accomplish, right? And try to accomplish it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So some practical advice, again, would be look at artwork that is somewhere where you want to be. A
Yeah.
good tactic that I'd like to tell people is, like, pick a studio and then pick an artist that works at the studio and try to emulate that style or
Yeah.
that's sense of skill. And I say emulate, don't copy, because they already work there. So it'll be kind of, you won't be bringing anything new to the table. So then once you start to feel you have a chokehold on that kind of process, then try to dive into different processes, you know?
Yeah, I already do that with
Okay,
a
cool.
lot of artists. But
Yeah,
it's very hard when I compare me to them. It's always okay.
yeah,
I'm not there yet, but I
absolutely.
will.
And that's fine. That's fine. That's my whole point, right? The whole moral of this Q&A so far has been um, being bad is temporary. It's part of the process.
Yeah,
Okay? Like, I used to be very, very terrible at art. And so it's hard to believe, I know, but it's true. Nobody, um, nobody's born a winner, right? You have to earn it. All right. Hope that helps you out. Any other
yeah, a lot.
questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take one more question, and then I gotta go. I have to go into a meeting. Any other questions?
Sure, I'll ask another one.
Ooh.
You were talking about exposure, and is it better to do like, let's say you have to keep it consistent, like I'm
Uh-huh.
assuming, like every week you post something.
Yep.
Um,
I usually encourage every day, but whatever you
okay,
can
then
do. Every
so
once a week is good too. Once a month is not
okay,
good.
yeah. So is it better to post, like, let's say you like create some art, but it's kind of unfinished? Is it better to just post it anyways, or is it
Yeah.
better to wait like
Just create a
2
standard.
days?
Just create a standard for what you want to post, and just start posting stuff. Just stay consistent.
Okay.
Yeah. This really comes down to that. Like some days you're just gonna post garbage work. It's fine.
Okay, and it's okay to share that with people as long as you
Yeah.
get the exposure?
No, nobody. Well, it's like stop thinking of it like as exposure,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what it is. Okay, on the surface. But also think
Yeah.
about it indirectly. Like, what are you doing for yourself? What you're doing is you're creating a system, and no matter what, you're going to follow that system as best you can, right? So, for instance, I haven't posted artwork on my ArtStation for like almost a week for a good reason. I had a baby. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
but I've been itching. I'm like, I need to get back to posting artwork again because I've gotten so much of in the habit of just posting artwork every day or every other day, you know, that I couldn't wait for the Q&As where I do paintings, you know, and I usually save those paintings and post them on Facebook and Instagram and etc. Right?
Yeah.
Um, like so, what you're doing for yourself is you're building that habit. Okay, that's all you're doing. And if you're posting just garbage sketches every day, that's fine. Eventually, they're not going to be garbage sketches, you
Yeah.
know. And you're going to get like 1 or 2 followers in the beginning for your. Oh, those are cool. Oh, I like it. I'll put those in your room, okay? All right. And so then, if you're posting, if you're posting like every day, you're doing something for yourself where you're teaching yourself to post consistently and constantly, like I said, because you're going to get good eventually anyway. And even though you get those 1 or 2 followers, right? You're a lot of people are like wanting to say, I want to get tens of thousands of followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to get that just takes time. I'm at like 37, almost 40,000 followers on Facebook, I think now. Or actually, I think I am at
Yeah.
40,000. Instagram, I'm almost at 90,000, right? ArtStation, I'm almost at 30,000. Of course, a lot of these people are the same people, I'm sure, you know?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When I started each and every one of these, all I did was just post often. That's it. And I like to use my Instagram a lot because my Instagram is fairly new, and you can go back so far in history and just look. It's great. And like my posts early on, I only get like 20 or 30 likes, right? And now I
Mm-hmm.
get up to uh, 2 to 4,000 likes on in any given image.
Well,
But that took me 2.5 years.
yeah.
Okay. And I made this example true with ArtStation. I said, look, my ArtStation's only at this much. I'm going to post every day. Watch how it's going to explode. I said this to my students 3 months ago. And it did. It got like upwards to 1,000 to 2,000 followers every month there and out. And I explained to them, you see? And I was like, and if you do the math, I was only getting like 50 to 60 followers a day, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like I got thousands of followers a day. No, I just got several dozen. And if I just keep it up, it exponentially gets larger, right? Because the more people that follow you, the more opportunity for them to share and like it. So once I get to 100,000 on ArtStation, I will probably get hundreds of people following my work a day, right? And then if I get to 200,000 or even 1,000,000, then I'll get potentially thousands of people to follow me a day. But in the scope of how many people that actually follow me, that's still very tiny. You understand?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, oh, my little baby boy. It's okay, little dude. I'm still here. You're not alone. Yeah, so you're okay. Um, you know what I mean? Like, people want that quick fix, and I'm trying to tell you guys, it's not how it works, man. Okay?
Yep.
So let's look at Donald Trump, since I brought him up earlier.
Ugh.
He has like 30 something million followers, I think, from what I've heard.
Unfortunately.
Well, half of them are fake because he buys his followers. Well, at least
Oh.
someone else does it for him, so that way he feeds his ego because he gets butthurt.
Oh.
But see, I didn't buy my followers. That's my point, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I post something, it's genuine. Like I will have, I'm sure there's a lot of fake accounts that follow me, right? Like I went through like a little bit of a purge the other day, and like there was a lot of accounts that had no portraits, and so it's usually the sign. I usually say if they don't have a portrait and they don't have any mutual friends, I'm purging them, right? Like if they
Yeah.
don't have at least one person,
fake news.
yeah, they might just be, no, they're just like fake accounts that like look for opportunities to post on your comments with like articles or some sort of advertisement, you know? I get a
Yeah.
lot of requests from these ridiculously attractive young ladies, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think this person's really here to follow my artwork. I think this is just some sort of weird, like they're trying to take advantage of the fact that I'm a dude, and then I might be into that, which I am. I'm into to attractive women, but I already have one. You know what I mean? And so like I'm not going to follow them because they're just going to post spam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So watch. I bet there's one right now. Watch. I bet you. Like I get like 2 or 3 a day, and I just delete them as soon as I get them. Let's see. Let's see what we got. All right, where does they show? Oh yeah, right here. Let's go. Yeah, look at okay. Very first one. Oh yeah, Mercedes Scott. I'm sure this is a real person. Oh yeah, totally. She's a naughty girl. She wants me to call her. Yeah, maybe it's some other life. Yeah, like, you know, but Taurus is definitely a real person, and these people like with mutual friends, especially the ones with the green IFCC thing. These are real people, so these people I look into. And I try to add people as I lose friends because some people just either they lose their account or they just don't like my politics anymore, um, which is fine. I don't want you around anyway if you disagree with my politics. Um, and ironically, I get more people to follow me because of my statements. You know, one of my friends, like, you got to be careful. You know, you're gonna like you have your business and all that stuff. And I hear you, but I actually got 200 more followers after that last post that I did. Not the one recently. I'm just talking in context of the conversation I had. So I actually had
Yeah.
more people follow me of one of my political posts. It was specifically the one that I got like a lot of people to follow me was my healthcare argument, right? A lot of people were like totally supportive of it, and yeah, I was like, I think it's actually the opposite. I think what it's going to do is I'm going to weed out the very few people who share this really disgusting point of view, and then start acquiring people that are more sensible. You know, and I'm down with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. There was a guy that used to post on my stuff every single day, and he used to like just be so hateful. And then I don't think he follows me anymore because I think he doesn't have any strong arguments. And then I have another person who was a Trump supporter that I completely converted just through conversation because he was an artist, and I would talk to him on Messenger and just be like, you must see that this is pretty bad. And I think like in the last month, he's just like, yeah, this is pretty bad. And I was like, see, I knew it. I knew you were sensible. You were just hiding behind some blinders. He's like, welcome to the dark side. And he's like, okay. And but then there's still some people that just like just argue for the sake of arguing, and I don't unfriend them because uh, that's cowardice. Of course, you should conversate, and if you don't have a strong argument, don't be afraid of like losing an argument. Right? Just maybe strengthen your argument, or maybe perhaps get the different perspective and try to understand it. But anywho, um, yeah, Donald Trump buys his followers, so it's all fake. It's the same thing with like these Instagram models. Some of these models, or just even just people, right, that will buy Instagram followers to create this illusion of a lot of followers. You know, but there's no substance there. You know, because some of these people still live in like studio apartments and barely make ends meet. It's all an illusion. Like the only people who truly are like you should trust are the people that are selling makeup lines with their names on it, like the Kardashians, for instance, right? Like they have legitimate like followers, you know. Ariana Grande has legitimate followers. Justin Bieber, you know,
Yep.
but they've earned it. As much as you might not like what they do, that stuff is earned. Like they made music and products that people are into. It's just how it is. You might not be into it, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you don't like it.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah, and so what I love about this process that I'm trying to explain is that you could do the same for yourself, even if I don't make millions of followers like Beebs, you know? The tens of thousands of followers that I have are substance, you know? So when I share
Yeah.
a video tutorial and I say, I'm going to put a video tutorial out for like $5, I can trust that a few hundred people are willing to spend $5 on my video. So that's about $500 to $1,000 right there. It's a win-win. I make a video that's really insightful for very reasonable cost, right? And I get paid substantially for that. You know? It's good for the people who invest in the videos. It's good for me as the person who makes the videos. I love it. I don't need to do anything more to make it so I can become a quadrillionaire, you know? And all I got to do is just keep making more fans. That's it. Genuine fans.
So this is hopefully a pretty quick follow-up to that you can answer
Okay.
easily, but with posting every day, would you recommend then just sticking with a specific kind of, I guess, look, if that makes sense?
Just post every day. Remember, like the whole concept is to build a habit. It's not about the specifics of what it is, right? It's just about just doing it. Okay? Remember how we were talking with Carolina and she was having this issue of like, what should I do? Right?
Yeah.
And see how
Yeah.
that paralyzed her? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Stop doing that. Just do something. If it happens, if you just decided this week you're going to do stylized stuff, then great. But next week, if you decide not to, does that mean you stop doing it? Do you see the problem there? You've created an
Yeah, I
unnecessary
see.
barrier. You created an unnecessary barrier that no one else put onto you but yourself.
Yeah,
So
so
if,
all of a sudden you don't want to do it
yep.
because
Mm-hmm.
of the idea that you can't post it,
Uh-huh.
which
Absolutely.
is just self-imposed.
Yes. So what you need to do instead is say, post once a week. Something.
All right.
Irregardless. And if you happen to put a subject matter to it, great. That wasn't part of the requirements. Requirements is just something. Okay? And then eventually you'll just pick up on things that people are more attracted to, and you'll yourself will find things that you like to paint, and then it will just naturally evolve into that system, or you will naturally find a thing that you want to post off to just intuitively, you know, versus just it's got to be good, you know, or it's got to be stylized, or
Mhm.
you're putting unnecessary barriers. No one in the industry is going to be like, they'll see your artwork and be like, we got to write this down because this guy's artwork is so bad. We got to make sure that they never get a job in this industry ever again. You know, no one's ever going to do that. They're going to maybe not like your artwork and then move on with their life. They're going to like scroll past it. That's the worst that's going to happen. Okay. And
Yeah.
over many years, you're going to get better, and then you can do one of those great things that you see people do online, right? Where they show like the before and after, like this is me in 2017, and then now it's 2027, right? You know, look at me 10 years ago, like look at the garbage I was doing then, and people are like, what? That's crazy, you know? Like that's amazing. You know, I know. And it's all I did was AJ told me to draw every day and post every day, and he was right. You know? And so, um, yeah, don't you can definitely have guidelines and like secondary rules and strategies, you know, that kind of help you have things to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if that is the one of the main requirements, then you're more likely going to be stagnant. You're gonna be apathetic. Okay, because you're just giving yourself more opportunity to procrastinate.
That's a really good point.
But if you say I just doesn't matter if it's good or bad, like something, then you'll post often, and you'll build a really good habit in it. And I think once a week is a good way to start. You don't have to do once a day, but build up to like every other day, or build up to 3 times out of the week, then 4 times, and then 5 times, and then every day if you can. I'm like on every day / every other day. That's where I'm at right now. Like I'm gonna probably paint this guy for a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna post it online. You guys are gonna see it. People are going to like it because of 2 reasons. I put some time and effort painting this weird thing, and it's bizarrely colorful. See, it's all about those values. Get those values looking good. Do all kinds of things. Kind of digging that orange. It's funny. I changed the color scheme of this guy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm digging that orange. I don't like the green background though. This green background is gross. Let's see if I can change it. Yeah, that works. Oh, I missed his in between his legs. Yeah, that's fine. Some of his leg disappears. It's okay. All right. I'm gonna end the class now, guys. Thanks again for all the good work. Great questions. Don't worry, we have more Q&As in the future and more time in class, so think of more questions you'd like to ask, and work really hard and hang out with each other. And I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace
Thanks.
out, friendos.
And
Thanks, man.
thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Have a great weekend. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to watch more in the future. If you liked the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you like this content, you can go to my website, robotpencil.net, where you can find mentorships, tutorials, and a Patreon to get more exclusive content. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next videos.